And
Action.
action. What's up, man?
Hey,
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
how are you, Pete?
How's it going, man?
Oh, Gatorade. I need one of those, man.
I know. He's way ahead of
Can I
me.
borrow one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See ya.
You too, man. How's it been going, buddy?
Been good. Nice little time to be back in the home base there
Good.
this last week. So
Good.
it was probably like 8 weeks of travel.
Man.
Conference season, man. It's a killer.
Yeah. I mean, everybody you talk to is just beat to death, you know.
Yeah. Running around too fast,
That was
man.
the first question of me we had earlier. It's like, you guys, how y'all doing?
Yeah.
Y'all
How was Saturday and Sunday of recovering? I'm like,
Yeah.
I was worse than
Yeah.
I missed the whole week, man. So I was on the phone all day Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, everybody's gonna give you the feedback.
Yeah, man.
You guys had some of your own events recently, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, we had the roundup in Fredericksburg and a couple hundred people out, and it was a lot of fun, man. Just try and get the kind of the closed door, the laid back, get everybody to calm down and really open up about what's going on. And you get the more senior people in the room, and you tend to get to the meat of the issue and less of the flashy narrative. So that was really cool, man.
Tell you straight up, it is an
Yeah.
effort to try to get people to just be square with each other,
Right.
shoot straight, tell each other what you really feel
Mhm.
instead of the hellish little, answers.
Everybody has it. Yeah.
And to do that, boy, that isn't hard.
Yeah.
So what was a big honest answer you were hearing?
I think the connector space,
Oh,
sort of the embedded finance BaaS area.
Embedded finance was the top.
Yeah, I think it's the popular narrative, a lot of the consultant narrative of the fear and the difficulty and all that kind of flew in the face of what the banker feeling was of. I think the general tone was, don't we have to do this?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that the retail space, everybody was kind of negative on the retail narrative. I think because of that overarching feeling. And I best said, it's like all of my efforts to compete on the retail side feel like they're sort of being undermined by the partner banking space, right? Partnering with people that are really good at marketing. And I keep looking at it and it's like, you probably know which side of the fence I come down on, but I think it's a grand question. Forget what the answer is. We finally have honed in on a really good question. So what do you think? And you see more of this stuff than anybody does.
Right. And you think?
Well, I think it seems like any kind of service that a bank can provide to corporates, businesses, fintechs, however you want to label them, they need to continue to evolve and provide financial services to them. And I think BaaS has had a bad rap, rightfully so in some cases, but it's not going away, and I think it's going to have to be a path that banks keep pushing down. I was at actually, for Money 2020 a couple weeks ago. I had you start off the conference with all these sessions you want to attend because they seem interesting and like you might learn something. And then as the meetings start getting scheduled, you end up with no sessions and it's all meetings, right? Over the course of the few days that you're there. But there were a couple that I got to attend, and one was Michael Shu from OCC, and he kind of laid it out. He said, "Hey, look, he says I see BaaS as a spectrum." He says on one end of it, you've got banks that have really good relationships with their financial technology providers, the fintech, whomever, but they know the customer, they know the end user, they are a shared customer between the bank and the fintech, and they have the right relationship in place. And he goes, on the other end, you've got software services that are trying to play matchmaker, where things are just kind of arbitrage being forced down a sponsor bank or an end user and a fintech, and he says that's not going to fly. So to me, and then he said there's a lot of stuff in the middle, but my signal, kind of on that takeaway was, if your compliance is in order and you're doing it correctly, then there's a path for that. And that was kind of my big read. And feedback I brought back to our team, on some of the stuff that we're seeing. So
Yeah. If you get past the point of it's real, it's here to stay, and there's a path, we're not going to turn off fintech on the planet, right? Okay. Then what does the future look like? And if you look at the competitive landscape, I've been real focused, man, on the brand side. And I talked some at the roundup about, I used HEB as an example, obviously Texas grocery store, and so
is that a grocery store? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, this is like HEB is like the Texas grocery store. They're like beloved, right?
Yeah, you have a hurricane.
It's like the Whataburger
18-wheelers of aid,
Yeah, they're loved.
Right.
So it would be like Whataburger is in Texas, right? And so I made the point of, years ago, the kind of the transformation I went through in my own head was Chime is definitely a bad guy and a challenger, right? And a neobank, and we all see this, and it's like HEB is now offering a debit card with a checking and a savings and 5% cash back rewards on HEB products. And I'm like, so is HEB a challenger or is Chime a potential partner? Right. And it's like, I'm not trying to answer for anybody, but it is a really interesting question. Well, and it's like the question that,
and there's a winning bank behind everybody. Coinbase, you go down the list, there's a winning bank here. And to not be in embedded finance, to not be in this space at all is a missed opportunity. But to your point, I mean, one big takeaway I'd say from the roundup was, and I heard this from a bunch of people, and even the panelists were preaching this to people, is own compliance. Compliance is not
a burden.
Something, exactly.
It's your competitive advantage.
It's your competitive advantage. That's it.
Man, that was cool.
You've got a charter, and if you own compliance, it's game on.
It's cool.
But we've gone about it the wrong way. And I think that was to Mike's point that there's certain things that are just simply not going to be allowed. And I think if we were talking about the world of, whether you want to call them BaaS platforms or connectors, if they were fully compliant, like they claim to be, they'd be a core.
But so I have a question for you, Pete. So you kind of have this role, almost like a banker would, of go out and look at all the cool stuff what's going on. What should we invest in? What should we integrate? It's the same thing, right? And then you're able to bring that package to an institution and say, hey, look at all the things that we've done. So is that a fair way to look at kind of your role and what you get to do? Because I think it's the coolest job in the world, by the way. You get to see more than probably anybody. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's been good being at Jack for the last 4 years. I kid, I'm 4 years into my 2-year commitment post acquisition, right? And it's been a really great experience. There's a ton of smart people, so obviously I wouldn't be here if I wasn't feeling like I could contribute, have fun and learn. Right, those are some important attributes of anything you do. But to be kind of on the other side too, hadn't been a fintech founder, and then to be on the other side and work with fintechs and try to help them down a path of success, right? What's the easiest way to reach our addressable market? Here are the pitfalls. Here are the things to consider. Here's how to be able to say yes to people around integration and trying to make it easy for them to deploy. That was one of my biggest challenges at Gzia, right? Was getting those integrations with whether it be a core or digital banking, mobile banking, and usually you had to get a big client that would drive, work, to get it done, and that they would strong hand the larger vendor that you were trying to work with, and then they'd say, yeah, we can do it, in 6 to 12 months, and hey, Gzia, here's how much it's going to cost you to do this, and we'd have to try to figure out if we can get 1 or 2 clients maybe to pick up the integration costs. That said, once you did all that, it became kind of your competitive advantage at the time. But that's clearly not a good business model. So it's a lot of fun now with Jack Henry and having open tools that you can you're talking to a fintech founder, and you're like, here's how you do it. Doesn't cost you anything. Put in your email, you'll get auth and API creds, and you can start building your product. And that's a fun place to be. And then outside of that, getting to work on the corporate strategy team on, areas of opportunity that we think can benefit our customers, keep them relevant, keep them out ahead. I had a panel that I did at our Jack Henry's conference a couple of weeks ago. We had Jack Henry Connect, and it was on fintech, and my advice was we've seen we're seeing a dip in fintech valuations and funding, and it's a rough time to be a fintech, right? And but this is not going to be long lived. We're in this little shallow, right, and it's going to come right back up again. I said you've got probably about a year left if you want to start investing in tech, to try to keep up and exceed some of that innovation that we've seen over the last 5-6 years in fintech. And I think it's a real opportunity for banks to execute and get out ahead a bit, because I think next year or the year later we're going to start seeing investment just spike again in the fintech space.
Perfect.
So,
I want to compliment you real quick, Pete. I think I heard inside what you were saying, man. I've been the player that they wouldn't let in the room, and now I'm the guy that's the gatekeeper, and I'm going to try and help the guys get in the room, man. I think it's a righteous message, man. I know how you feel, and I think too we've all done. I mean, all over the space, a little bit of an injustice there. That when you look back in history, is like, man, how many very bright people and good helpers that would have done great things to help community banks kind of got left out. Yep. Because the period of entry was so high. And I think as those, I want to say walls come down, right? But as we lower that bar a little bit while still being safe and, not getting robbed, and we get some more of the good guys in the room. And to me, it's like when you look around over years and years, I mean, that's why we're all friends, right? It's the people are the good idea folks and the dreamers and the ones that come up with the cool things that has to be taken care of. And so really good.
We're so fortunate right now. Back to your point earlier, hey, how hard it used to be, how much simpler it is now. We've gone through this ramp up of valuations and fintech and all that stuff. And then we got a little test where raised rates, bottom fell out, no more, who survives? And like you said, now it's going to be game on again, right? Yeah. Which gives bankers a chance to kind of have a reset moment to maybe we should look at this a different way. And then going out of this thing, where do you see it? I mean, when we say, okay, rates come down, we're in happy days again. How does that go from there for the bankers that have taken the action and the fintechs that are still alive? Are we looking for new players to come along, or what are you thinking?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think, I think one area that we're going to continue to see opportunities for our community FIs is going to be in small business, commercial banking. I mean, retail is going to continue, I think, to be challenging. You'll still get consumer customers, you'll still get those retail customers rather, that want that local relationship for many reasons, right? And I think the technology can be on par with anything else we're seeing in the fintech space or the challengers. And it's up to folks like Jack Henry to make sure that our banks are doing that. But, man, the one area where I think, big banks, the challengers, and everybody else is going to have a real challenge, hard time is, the construction project down the street, the new industrial park that's, getting financed, or the small business down the street. And, I think at the end of the day, all the community FIs that are supporting, business in that way are going to continue to be successful. I think I hear it from other members of the Jack Henry team, Dave Foss, and throughout, Jack Henry believes that, the world is a better place with our community financial institutions. And I think at the heart of that is a lot of that is small business, right? And helping support small business grow. So I
don't think they're going to forget PPP.
What's that?
I don't think that the small businesses in America are going to forget what the community banks did for them during PPP, right? Everybody up.
Absolutely. Or if they do, and they're a new customer, new business customer that didn't even go through that, and is like, hey, I need somebody to do my business banking with. Mm-hmm. The line to customer acquisition seems a lot more clear for that, whether you go and do a Google search or anything to look for, who should I be, or you're talking to somebody else in your community that has a business and they ask, who do you bank with for your business? So I think that'll have a hand in it. And then I think there's going to be the other piece of it is going to be the BaaS, the payments as a service, business as a service, other things that you can provide that are just kind of outside your normal, checks, savings, CDs, the products, and
What are you thinking on the payment side? So we're going to ask this a lot. I mean, I had one, I ran through it for an hour with somebody the other day. We were talking about Venmo hiding tons and tons of your sole prop micro businesses. And it's like, wow, right? And think PayPal, et cetera. So, and I mean, being able to receive payments, and then we got interchange. I mean, it's a messy area over there. What are you thinking about there on the small business side?
I think, an area that I've been kind of pushing a little bit these days is, more pay by bank, type features. It seems to me that, that the whole point of sale e-commerce model is ripe for a ton of disruption, and banks are actually in a pretty good place to capitalize on it. Because if that's where the assets are being held, and you're gonna pay somebody, you try to avoid the cost of a payment. It seems to me that our community FIs are in a good spot to capitalize on that. If you look at what Venmo does, Cash App does, I mean, they're all still riding credit card rails. But what happens when I go to my local merchant down the street is the sandwich shop, and they have a 3.5% discount if you pay cash, right? And what happens if that's a QR code and I'm scanning it and it comes right out of my checking account? And a lot of people argue, oh well, everybody loves their points, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of people out there that don't give a shit about their points, and they just spend, they pay, and if they can get, discount on whatever it is they're buying from their local business, that has a value in and of itself. So.
Yeah. I saw, I think it was
no tea leaf reading, but those are some of the areas that
I was seriously with you though. I think I saw Bouchan from Finsley and Shevlin were duking it out on LinkedIn over pay by bank, and making the case of it was something like a 30% increase or a 30% hit out of the credit card side by the end of 2025. And Shevlin's just ripping him apart. Like, if you lost your mind, this will never happen. I was sitting there watching it like, I think Shevlin he might have to eat his shoe on that one. I'm not going to call this, but I see a big impact that could be had there. I mean,
B2B especially.
Well, Ron's whole business model is contrarian, so I mean, he has to be that way. That's his job.
Yes, man. Yeah, that's awesome.
He calls himself out.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so good. That is so good.
Yeah, I mean, I listen. I think the card companies, they're going to figure it out. But I mean, let's face it, the race to zero interchange is on, right, and it's happening. So there's going to have to be new interesting business models around that, which I think is going to open the door for a lot of cool new tech too.
I think so too.
I think a lot of the things that are built into the system, 60 days change your mind, 3 days change your mind, whatever these, chargebacks and different things that are built into the system that nobody really thinks or cares much about has become a much bigger issue as we begin to get off those rails or try to get off those rails.
Tons of companies in each one of those topics that should exist, right? Yeah. Those, and I think your point of the race to the bottom there's a lot there, and sort of the anti-bank space that is really reliant on that, to your point, Pete, I think highlights the value of the charter, right? Some of these things that maybe started to unwind banks a little bit are coming now full circle and being the saving grace once we get some things figured out. It's pretty cool to watch. Yeah. What else you got your eye on, man?
We jumped right into business really fast here. Tanner, no. How's the baby?
Playoffs coming?
Oh, the baby's great, man. Really good. She'll be 3 months here soon, and like sleeping, eating, happy. We haven't broken her yet. I mean, she's doing good. And I mean, we're kind of sitting around laughing. Like, this has been a little jolting, but otherwise we made it. She's still alive and happy.
This is your first, right?
Yeah, which was, you think you're going to prepare yourself, and you're not.
Oh yeah, you've got prepared. The 3-volume set of things to do when the baby gets here, and after you know, after the first day, you just have a one sheet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I lost you there for a second. My phone thought I was talking to it and
It's saying
interrupted us.
basically you sit down and you prep and prepare the checklist, and it's like the first order of business is to throw that shit out the window, right?
Yeah. Survival, man. Survival.
Just survival, yeah. But we're getting
Well,
out of survival into fun a little bit, and it's been really
That's, yeah. 3 months is cool. You can still keep her in the car seat and go to a bar.
yes, all good, man. Just carry
Right.
that in.
Yeah,
Can't
that's
run away.
just, yeah.
Truck running.
Yes.
It's when they get mobile, it gets yeah, people start frowning a little bit at it. But
Yes. We took her to the roundup just to make an appearance. And so we go to Lukenbach one night and we had Kevin Fowler come play. And so I guess mom or somebody had gotten her a shirt that said, "This is my first rodeo."
That's fantastic.
That's
I
how
love
it's
that.
going, man. We're having fun. Yeah. I
That's
appreciate
good, man.
it. Thank you.
Yeah. Congrats. That's fantastic. It's an exciting time, I'm sure. So
Yeah, you bet. It's been a lot of fun. And I think, yeah, to your point, it just looking around it, I mean, the heart and soul of community banking. I don't think, and this is probably you know better than I do, man. You've seen this for years and years. I don't think that bankers have any idea how close knit the technology community is, right? Just like bankers have their associations and people that generational family friends. We have the same thing on the other side, right?
Oh yeah,
A lot of that goes to the banker side, and we have all those friends too. And it's there's such community amongst the technology crowd of community banking.
Amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah. The network of like, you know, and financial tech, bank tech companies that have been servicing community FIs. I mean, I don't know. I've been at it for 15 years now or so, and it's really I know, right? Yeah, I'm still learning, Dave. I'm still learning. But it is amazing the relationships and the kind of the network of people, and Ruth Ann and I, we talk about this a lot, but the people that were project managers or product managers at a time, or were in a sales capacity, or operations, they're now chief revenue officers, CEOs, COOs, and so it's like all these people have kind of grown with us, in the industry. Right. It's suddenly those phone calls are very easy to make, whether it's hey, how do we get this done, or a partnership,
you're one of them.
Or,
man.
That's what's
so cool.
Actually the coolest part that I think the bankers miss about banking is that, how many hours you sit in an exhibit hall going, oh my God, and you're talking to the guy next door, and eventually everybody knows everybody. And you're right. We all move food chain, those that survive, into powerful positions that can actually help and do good things with each other.
When things stick with you, right? Like I know personally, favors you and I've done for each other and taken hits that because you're going to be here tomorrow and the next day, and you're not going to screw anybody over because your integrity and your ethics, you're going to have to live with those marks on your shirt, right? And that's true of just like it is in the community banking crowd. It's true of the other side as well. Of the folks that are highly respected have taken some bullets to be respected and done some really good things, and you're damn sure one of those, man. And you've done a lot of those for me. So hats off to you. Appreciate it.
Nice of you to say. So
talk a little bit, man. I just got a handful of minutes here to kind of run through a couple other things I wanted to get to. Talk about the API landscape, if you would. I know that that's such a topic, such a moving target, and the whole, what's the old adage, right? Of like, I need to get the data from the core and they won't let the vendor in, right? Yeah. And I mean, you guys are definitely the most out there on that type of thing. And I probably heard from half a dozen last week that just got done doing an integration with Jack. And I know you're probably behind all this morning. Yeah, I heard one this morning. Nice. Just a little bit about that area. That'd be great.
I think, and this is if you look at what Jack Henry's done over the last, 6 years or so, I think a lot of it you saw, with the acquisition of Banno, that there's a strong, kind of posture around, modern APIs, modern accessibility, developer centric, developer friendly, services. And then, Gzio, we had very similar type of approach. We had a whole toolkit at Gzio. All anything you could do in our app was available through an API. It was interesting though, like for the longest time, we had these APIs and nobody used them.
I was gonna say I was
nobody. I remember a conversation with who was it? I think it was Kelly Schultz, at iPay, and we were talking about it. She goes, don't bother. Just do like a SDK or a simple kit, something you drop in. I'm like, no, it's got to be an API. Like this way, the customer can customize it however they want. It's very easy to use. And she's like, they'll never use it. And I was just like, no, they definitely will. And nobody used it, right? She's absolutely right. And but that's shifted, right? I think as financial institutions start hiring more, technical people that are comfortable doing development work or working closely with, dev shops, that help them integrate stuff, APIs become more and more important. So that's probably a common theme through most of my career is I'm like 10 years ahead of it and keep missing the window. Like I'll see things get announced today and I'm like, oh man, we thought of that like 10 years ago. That was
I just
a great
hold
idea.
that stock, man. Come on.
But, so it's so I guess back to kind of its value today. Yeah, I mean it's absolutely a must have. And I think if you look at Banno, Gzio, and then now with Ben Metz, as a CTO, he's bringing a lot of that kind of commitment around modern technology, really with a developer-centric mindset. So how do we make it easy for those participating in the Jack Henry ecosystem to integrate? And we're not alone. I mean, other people are working on this, and I think. One of the things that's interesting, I've seen a few vendors that come in like, hey, well, we provide a middleware that, modernizes all the APIs for different things and makes it, everyone like, well, it's becoming less of value because everybody's starting to build modern APIs. So, there's still some shifts, we've seen some folks build some stuff on some of our other tech that maybe doesn't have a RESTful API and has created more simple interfaces, and that just puts our feet to the fire and challenges us to continue to improve on that. So I mean, if you look at what folks like Twilio and Stripe have created in terms of accessibility, that would be our goal, to create a similar type of experience for the developer community.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to give you a little bit more prep than I usually would give people on this. I like to hear final thoughts, man, and it can be anything you want. Like you could talk about some cool side thing you and Ruthann have been talking about, or a bet that you have, or your favorite football team, anything that is on your mind, a passion project, whatever you want, but and take as long as you want, man. But like anything that you want to talk about that you really is near and dear to you that you're interested in, whether it's banking or not, man, like anything that's on your mind that you want to cover. You have
man.
Well, it was a beer.
Anything at all. Yeah. You need free-form conversation lube, right?
Yes.
Yeah, oh man, and I enjoy lots of things, and I'd say a new passion for me over the last few years has been flying.
He always gets something good with. Sorry to put you on the spot, man, but like,
no.
Tell me about flying. This is super.
But yeah, so it was one of those things like with it was because in a way because of COVID, travel stopped, right? And it had always been on my list of things to do. And Ruth and I, we were actually at the beach, and she said, unless you go and get your license now, because I don't think you're ever really going to do it. She kind of challenged me a little bit. She's like, now's the time. You think of like, you're not traveled as much for work or at all, and your schedule's a little bit more, kind of predictable. So I called a local airport that day, and I had my discovery flight scheduled for the next day. And then 6 months later, I had my license, and my dad's a pilot, so again, it kind of always had been on the list. I love watching, what these guys do with the bush planes going into hard to land locations and the big tires on them. And that just really called to me. So, I was looking for once I got my license, you have to go through these different types of endorsements depending on the type of plane you get. So I always wanted to fly a tail wheel plane, which is the two wheels up front and then the wheel on the back, which are a little more challenging to fly and land, but that's what I wanted. So I was really kind of heads down focused on that. So I ended up getting my license, got checked out in that plane. I actually went down to Moultrie, Georgia, which is the manufacturer company Mall, which is the type of plane that I got, and had a great time down there, a couple days, and then I was down in Florida. I got my seaplane rating at a place called Jack Brown's, with the floats on it, and landing an airplane on the water is probably one of the most fun things you could ever do.
Wow.
Yes,
You got to do that?
cool.
Oh yeah. So that's a blast.
We're gonna start calling him Maverick, man.
Yeah.
This is great.
So that's a blast. And the plane we have, it actually can fit 5 people in it. So it's like 2 and 2, and then there's a little jump seat in the way back. So our 9-year-old usually takes that jump seat in the way back. We fly around New England quite a bit, and it's a lot of fun. So this weekend, actually yesterday morning, I got out with my brother-in-law. We went out and landed a couple little grass strip airports and flew around for the day, and usually go and fly around the house here and wave to the kids.
Yeah.
And so
I love it.
but yeah, so that's
So cool.
that's what I've been doing for fun, and among other things. But just try to continue to learn and get better. And still a super young pilot in terms of hours go, but having a lot of fun doing it. Do either of you guys have?
Yeah. No, I've talked about this for years, though, like for years and years. And we went down on a hunting trip with a banker.
You have enough land, right? You could
Yeah, I mean,
back
we got a banker invited us down to his ranch, and Michael Scott, and he's showing us the landing strip that he's been working on, and then he's telling these cool stories of like, all this crazy stuff that's happened just over years of flying and with his buddies and all this stuff. And I mean, it's always been a big one I wanted to do, and plenty of places to build an airstrip, obviously. And so, man, that was really cool. And I bet too, I'm thinking of the 9-year-old riding in the back with just like the biggest grin on his face, right? Like my dad can fly an airplane.
Yeah.
You're the man, you're like super dad. That's so cool. Super dad. Yeah.
There's an airstrip. It's a grass field, not too far from here. It's probably about a quick 20-minute hop, in the plane over there. And but it's kind of remote, as far as Connecticut remote gets, But every fall we do a fly-in with other pilots, and you camp there. So there's a site where you can camp. It's 2 nights, and we do a pumpkin drop. So we set up a target, yeah, and you get to drop a pumpkin out of the airplane to try to hit the target. So this is like, a little over 2 years ago. It's me, Ruth Ann's 7 months pregnant, and we got our 11 and 9. They're 10 and 8 at the time. So the 4 of us in the plane, and we're low bombing this target, right? And the kids are dropping pumpkins out of, I'm trying to hit targets. I mean,
So cool.
like how many kids get the opportunity to drop pumpkins out of airplanes? I mean, that's a pretty cool thing to be able to do. So yeah,
That was amazing.
I'm gonna have dreams with that. That's the happiest story I think I've ever heard, man. That's so
I
cool.
think I know what's
I think you both need to get on it. I feel like
I'm telling you.
I feel like there should be like a FedFis charter service or something like that for all your hunting trips and everything.
Fly with you though, because that's how you'd like to go out, and take with you. So yeah, you're not responsible or
We
mature.
can dive down here and hit this bass with a pumpkin.
See, not good, man. Not good.
You guys would probably upgrade the pumpkins though to something a little heavier.
Yeah, not good. Yeah. Oh man. Well, shit, man. I gotta tell you how much this good time hanging out with you, seeing your beautiful shining face.
I know.
And also, I really though want to say just thank you to you for all you've done for so many people
Yeah.
on the technology side of the world and the bankers over years and years. I don't think you could ever get enough credit that's actually due
That's the
for all
crummy
the
part.
things you did there.
That's the crummy part of the deal. There's guys like you. I mean, there's zillions of people that
Mhm.
owe you that don't even know you.
Right. And
Yeah.
all the impact that you've had. So we appreciate you. How about that?
That's
Consolation prize.
That's really thoughtful. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming. Thanks for riding.
And likewise.
Let's go drop some pumpkins soon.
Give Ruth Ann a high five for us.
Yeah.
I will. Absolutely. Good to see you guys.
We'll see you next time.
We'll see you on the streets.
All right, buddy. Bye.